Peace and blessings to my Instagram family and to my Facebook family, YouTube family. We're going to get it in right now. Think for yourself. There's a lot going on in the world. We're going to touch on some natural things and some spiritual things. Let's begin. As we know, it's voting season that's going on, and there's, of course, a lot of chaos going on in the world as well. Uh, there's a lot of misinformation going on in the natural. There's misinformation going on in the spiritual. And what we're dealing with psychological warfare. Okay. All of us are programmed positively, negatively. We all have behaviors, and our behaviors are learned behaviors. Okay. Whether we were taught those behaviors literally by being taught verbally or by observation and experience. Okay, so you're going to learn observation, experience, and instruction. All right. And the mindsets that we have are influenced by all of the above. And a lot of us are programmed to think in one way. Okay. Our parents don't mean us any harm. Our elders don't mean us any harm, right? Most of us have elders in our lives that truly do love us. But there's some things that we have been taught that even some of them have not studied. I'm speaking from, again, I like to speak from experience. Okay. There's some things that we have been taught that even they themselves have not looked up. Okay. They have not researched for themselves. Okay. They just taught us things because that's what they were taught. Right. I've literally experienced it. I'll never forget in church, right? It was this verse that a lot of people used to quote when I was growing up, and they said, Jesus' sweat became blood. And you had a whole lot of people in the church saying that, oh, Jesus' sweat became blood. Well, when you read that verse, it never said. It says his sweat became like drops of blood, right? Has any of us ever been raised up in a fashion where we have a tradition that we practice and nobody ever really broke it down to us? That's just the way we were raised, right? And these traditions like Easter and Christmas, right? When people start doing their research, though, historically, you start finding out things about it that it's actually paganism. But yet, in the Christian faith, we're taught, oh, it's a holy day. But do your actual research, do your actual history on Christmas, do your actual research on Easter, and you'll come to find out that it's not truly in harmony with your actual belief. And see, this will fools people. Christian, what's the root word in Christmas? Christ. Oh, so if Christ is in it, then it must be good. Do you understand? That's how Christian nationalism is. Oh, they quote the Bible and they quote these, beautiful scriptures and and things of this nature. But it remind me of Satan with Yeshua on the mountain. When he said, cast yourself off of this cliff, if you best, least ye dash the angels that bear thee up, least ye dash your foot against a stone. There we go. I got it out now. Right? Handling the word deceitfully. And that's what these Christian nationalists are doing. Okay. They take these verses and they defend wickedness, they defend racism, okay, with the Bible. Okay, it's just no different than what we went through when our ancestors were enslaved. They used the Bible. Again, they handled the word deceitfully. Okay, now that we can read, we can actually see that nothing that they were doing, these races, in the name of God and in the name of Yeshua, which some of you know as Jesus, okay, it is not right. It is a total contradiction to the way Yeshua lived his life. And the title of this message, again, is to think for yourself. In other words, to know for yourself, to get an understanding for yourself. And there's so many of us that follow after things that we have not did our research. We have not looked up the historicity. We even do it on Independence Day. We do the same thing. Look at the year that the Independence Day was founded. July 4th, 1776. Look at the year. This is the reason why it's important to know your history. 1776, we were still enslaved. The Emancipation Proclamation didn't come until the 1800s. So we were still enslaved, but yet we walk around, okay, with red, white, and blue on, and we're talking about, oh, happy the Independence Day, like as if though that's to be celebrated when our ancestors were still enslaved. And unfortunately, what we do is we put, nationalism before our ethnicity. That's what hurts us a lot as African people. We literally have believed these lies that because slavery has ended, that it's not affecting us to this day mentally. Yes, it is. And the proof is that we keep looking for a Messiah. We keep looking for somebody to come save us. We have a savior complex. We're always looking for somebody to save us. We're looking for us to save us. We're looking for the politician to save us, except for the man in the mirror. We don't look at the man in the mirror to save us. We're always looking to the sky, or we're looking to the government to save us. And that is our problem. The truth has to be told. That is a reality that we're facing. And even when it comes to politics, we listen to these so-called freedom fighters and, oh, don't vote, oh, it's a trick, and all these politics and all these things like that. Riddle me this then. How did we get the Emancipation Proclamation? It's legislation. How did we get the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendment? All of which helps us as African people in America. How did we get the Civil Rights Act of 1964? Legislation, okay, that has been written, has empowered us to be able to have the liberties that we have today. And if we did not have the liberties that we have today via legislation, okay, if legislation had not been written, okay, we would still be in the same situation that we were in during those times, which they are the races. Let me be more specific, races, okay, are trying to take us back to, because they don't want to deal with diversity, equity, and inclusion anymore. And then us brainwashed African people, okay, who are so blind, okay, because we put, okay, a flag before our ethnicity, we put a nation before our ethnicity, okay, we are blinded by the lies of the races. And the racists are using us by giving us these promises, okay, that, oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, I'm going to do this when I get in power. Oh, I'm going to do that when I get in power. Okay, look it up for yourself. Look it up for yourself about Trump. Look it up for yourself. Okay. Find out whether or not he really did what he said he was going to do for the HBCUs. Look it up. Tim Scott got disappointed. He started shucking and jiving and sucking and dancing, and he didn't even get selected to be the vice president. Each two of those sellouts, okay, they sold their soul, okay, and they sold themselves out, okay, which is our people out, just so they could get a position. And once the enemy got done using them, put them on the back burner, and they've been burned. I want to thank everybody that's tuning in on Instagram. Thank you for tuning in. Everybody that's tuning in on YouTube and on Facebook, thank you for tuning in. Okay. Now, Tim Scott is a perfect example of what happens when you sell out thinking that the enemy, that the races is going to reward you handsomely for what you're doing. Oh, that's only temporary. What profit if a man to gain the whole world, okay, and lose their freedom? Yeah. Because we've been tricked and fooled to think that these races are trying to defend democracy. How so? How so? I argue that the Crown Act, which was established between, I believe it was 2020 or 2021, the Crown Act, which was a law put in place, okay, to fight against discrimination so us as a people can wear our ethnical hairstyles like our locks and afros and mini afros. Huh? So if discrimination, if racism doesn't exist today, then why did the Crown Act? Look it up for yourself, because I don't believe in you just taking what I'm saying. I want you to go fact check what I'm saying to you. I want you to go research it for yourself. Listen, only a manipulator, only a dictator does not want you to know for yourself. They just want you to take everything they say so they can manipulate you and control you. Okay? It's time for us to wake up. It's time for humanity to wake up, or as a whole. I don't care what your skin look like. It's time for humanity to wake up and recognize what's happening. This is psychological warfare that we're dealing with. And only those who are in their right mind is going to be able to make it. If discrimination does not exist today, why is it that we don't want to take on African names? Because we got a fear that if we have an ethnical name, that when we fill out a job application, okay, that we will not get hired. Why is there a fear that then if we feel like discrimination don't exist? And this is the reason why I say we got to think. We got to think for ourselves. We got to use our common sense. If it does not exist, then why is it that we spend so much of our time trying to talk like them, look like them, dress like them, wear our hair like them? We don't even want natural hairstyles because we're afraid that we're not going to get hired. So I ask again, if discrimination does not exist, then why do we run away from being ourselves? If this is truly the land of the free, then why is it that Africans in America, okay, are afraid to be ourselves then? Huh? Why are we not free to be ourselves if it's such the land of the free? Why is it that we're afraid to take on names of our ethnicity, okay, and to name our children names of our ethnicity due to discrimination? It's time for us to start thinking here. They don't want African history, so-called Black history, to be in our schools where we are at, where our faces are predominantly in these schools in the inner city. It's time for us to think. Wait a minute. Why don't they want us to learn about ourselves? Why is it that they give us their history, but we can't learn our history? What about our warriors that fought for our freedom, other than the Honorable Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who shed no blood? Or they don't want you, they don't want you to learn about Shaka Zulu. No, they don't want you to learn about Duty Boukman. No, they don't want you to learn about the Black Panther Party. No, they don't want you to learned about Malcolm X, who believed if you slap my cheek, I'm going to slap yours back. Who he believed in defending yourself, that you got a right to defend yourself. Because is it not something that they're fighting for the Second Amendment, to bear arms, huh? Are you, huh? To defend themselves, to fight, right? See, you got to start thinking. This is the reason why it's called Think for Yourself. Why are they trying to overturn affirmative action? Do you not know that the Attorney General, okay, is the one that's supposed to ensure that civil rights is enforced? So if you get a racist in power and they put a racist attorney general in a position of power, you get a racist in power, and then they put their racist cohorts on the Supreme Court, okay, at the federal level, the state level, and the local level. What do you think going to happen to us, black man and black woman? Huh? What do you think is going to happen to us, so-called black man and black woman? You need to look up Project 2025. Look up Project 2025. I mean, it is going viral. We give thanks for our sister Taraji Henderson for bringing attention to the Project 2025. You understand? Read it. Of course, it's 900 something. You don't have to read it all. I promise you, you don't. Anybody with any common sense that reads into this Project 2025, listen, you don't have to even read it in its entirety. And I guarantee you, you just read a few pages of it and you will come to find that it is a racist agenda. To overthrow us. We're programmed not to think. We're programmed not to think. When you use even the brain that the Creator giving you, religion tell you, oh, you lean into your own understanding. If the Creator did not want you to think, then why did the Creator give you a brain? See, we put man into a position of God, but yet we say we put God first and there's only one God. Then if that's the case, I challenge you on this. If that's the case, then why do you believe everything that you read, that God really inspired, this higher being really inspired these men to say the stuff that they said and to write the things that they're right? You know why? Because you're programmed to believe that. You're not programmed to think for yourself. You're programmed to believe whatever you hear, whatever you read, that's what you're programmed to do. That is not freedom. That is bondage. And see, even the religious people don't want you to think. Not all of them, some of them. Don't want you to think. Don't want you to use the brain that the Creator has given you. They love using that verse. Oh, you lean into your own understanding. No, I won't be fooled by no human being. You're not going to fool me. You're not going to fool me. And that's the problem. They turn man into God and call it God's word. Really, it's man's word that a man said that God said. And let the truth be told, a lot of those things sound entirely too foolish for a higher power of such great intelligence to say such foolish things. Like a woman can't speak. That's not God, that's man. That's a cultural thing. That's not a godly thing. I'm going to say it again. That is not a godly thing. That is a man thing. That is a feeling thing. That's not a factual thing. And it's a difference between feelings and facts. And we have, unbeknownst to us, put these men up as gods. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. You made these men to be perfect, but yet you say there's only one that's perfect. Well, if that's the case, then so you telling me that a man who wrote something with his hand, who say that God said it, there was no error? Come on. If there is only one perfect in God, the creator, okay, the creator, the supreme creator didn't write it with its own hands, Okay, the spirit didn't write it with its own hands. That means that there is room for error because man is an imperfect being. Well, I'm not afraid at all. I'm going to say it like the way that it is. We have been programmed, unbeknownst to us, we've been tricked, we've been duped, we've been hoodwinked, we've been swindled. Now I feel like I've been watching the movie Malcolm X. you understand? I feel like that sounds like something Malcolm X said, in the movie Malcolm X. You understand? In all seriousness though, we have been programmed to put man up here. And it's real tricky. They smooth, man. They real smooth. When these men proclaim certain things that they heard in their spirit, are you telling me they always right? Are you telling me that you've never been wrong in your spirit, that you thought something but you weren't right about it? Uh-oh. Are you telling me that everything you heard in your own spirit, are you telling me that you were always right? Because we all know that that's not the truth. Okay? We've been programmed. And these tools, okay, are tools that's been used to control the minds of man. I don't care what your skin color is. I don't care what your ethnicity is. Just like those who follow after racism and communism, okay, and dictatorship, that is a learned behavior. No human being is born thinking like that. You understand? Okay, we have been programmed to think the way that we're thinking and to believe the way that we're believing. And enough is enough. Man has been in control of man's minds too long. There's too many people want power over other human beings. And there's too many people, okay, that want control. And if you don't think like them, if you don't talk like them, if you don't dress like them, if you don't want to drive what they want to drive, if you don't want to live where they want to live, listen, it's too much manipulation and control going on around here. And it's time for people to be able to use their own intelligence, okay, that the supreme creator has given you. Okay, you have a wonderful mind, okay, and your mind is a precious thing to waste. Your mind is a precious thing to waste. Stop allowing people to control you, to manipulate you. Man, I've heard some people, oh, well, my pastor won't let me go home. My pastor said, oh, they need me at the church. You done lost your mind. You done lost your mind. I'm a grown man. I'm not asking you for permission. Can I go home? They lost it. Oh, my church, my pulpit, my microphone. I am telling you, family, I am telling you, it is witchcraft. And yet they proclaim the name of the Lord, but they're operating in exactly what they're preaching against is witchcraft. You're giving them too much power over you. Asking permission, who can they marry? Oh yeah, it exists. Oh yeah, I'm telling you now. I remember one time this preacher was preaching and telling the deacon we was getting ready to leave, telling them to stand in the front door so nobody can leave until he say so. And I told that deacon, I said, if you don't get out of my way, I'll drop you where you stand. And I looked at him and I said, what you want? You want some too? Manipulation and control. That's a true story. True story. Telling the deacon to stand in front of the door so nobody can leave until he finished. And I'm telling you right now, nothing holy about it. It wasn't no holy ground. No, it was invaded by emotion of man, the flesh of man. The spirit was not present. It was all flesh. And yet they lie in the name of the Lord, co-sign it with the name of the Lord. Oh, the Lord told me this. Oh, the Lord told me that. You a lie. Why is it that everybody hearing from the Lord that started a denomination? If God is not the author of confusion, then why is it that everybody done heard from the same God then to start a denomination? Huh? Riddle me that. That's why I say you got to think for yourself. Because Yeshua never preached a religion. Man created that. And for those of you who want to just go by the Bible, okay, I'm gonna work with you there. Let's go by the Bible. Go to Acts, where it says they were first called Christians in Antioch. That's not true. Check your history. That's not even true. But yet you got preachers preaching it for decades. And that's not even historically true. They were not first called Christians in Antioch. Do your historical research. That's a lie. You got to think for yourself, beloved. You got to think for yourself. It's time for you to stop listening to other people and making these people into gods because they're fighting for our freedom. Okay, wonderful. You give them their kudos for fighting for us, but you still need to think for yourself. People like to use, oh, I've been in the ministry this long. I've been freedom fighting this long. So what? That don't mean facts. How does that equate to facts? Facts over feelings. Facts over feelings. It's too many people. Oh, I've been preaching for this long. And again, manipulation and control. They're trying to bully you with their longevity of how long they've been preaching and teaching. So what? That doesn't mean that they're right. Even if they've been freedom fighting. You got some freedom fighters that have been freedom fighting almost long as I've been living, but they'll tell you not to vote. To me, that's a foolish thing. That's foolishness. When it's because of legislation that we got the liberties that we have, and voting puts the right person in political power to write the right policies that's going to protect us and prosper us. Yes. So that's absurd. And then when the person get in a position, oh, they're doing this, oh, they're doing that. Well, if you would have voted, they wouldn't have got there, now would they? And even if they do gerrymander, even if they do suppress the vote, did you cast your ballot? Did you do your part? So be quiet. If you ain't do nothing, be quiet. You don't have nothing to say. I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear you complain about nobody in power that ends up getting in power and start oppressing our people further. Okay? Just remember, you didn't do nothing to stop him or her from getting in power to help stop them from getting in there to continue to oppress us and to make our lives a living hell. Do you understand? This is the reason why it's important to vote. That's why when you get people in the Supreme Court, do you understand they're going to be there until the day they die? Do you understand that? Or until they retire? Do you understand that? That's the highest court in the land. If you got a racist attorney general, you'll never see justice. If you got a racist judge, district attorney, sheriff, commissioner, mayor, police, you're never going to see justice because they're always going to put their cohorts in place so they can have a solid infrastructure for racism. I'm telling you now. Why you think our ancestors wanted to vote? Do you think they just wanted to vote just to vote? No, they understood the power of the ballot. They understood that when you got a righteous person in power, the people rejoice. When you got a wicked person in power, the people mourn. Start thinking for yourself and stop being so over emotional about these things. Stop idolizing these people, these entertainers, these actors and hip hop artists and these so-called freedom fighters. And, you know, oh, I don't care who they fought with back in the day. If what they're saying is counterproductive to our people going forward, then I'm not with it. Period. If it does not propel our people forward, then I'm not receiving it and I'm not on board with it. That's the bottom line. All right, thank you all for tuning in. Hope you have a blessed rest of your day and weekend, family. Peace.